Hi, I'm Rob Wright with Dark Reading here at the Dark Reading News Desk at Black Hat USA 2025 in Las Vegas. And I am joined by Ali Ranjibar and Tianchang Yang. You guys are from Pennsylvania State University research assistants. You guys are also doctorate candidates?
Yeah.
You guys have two sessions tomorrow at Black Hat? Listen. They should give you the PhDs now. You got two sessions at Black Hat.
Yeah.
I feel like
tell us much about that.
Yeah, let me talk to Penn State here and get you guys going. All right, so you have two sessions. I want to make sure I get the names right. Uncovering nasty 5G baseband vulnerabilities through dependency-aware fuzzing, and Open RAN, Open Risk, uncovering threats and exposing vulnerabilities in next-gen cellular RAN. Whoa, it's a mouthful. Let's start with nasty 5G baseband vulnerabilities. So what did you guys find there? This was concerning. I read through some of this stuff. It was a little concerning. What did you find?
Do you want to?
You go ahead.
All right. We actually discovered vulnerabilities in the non-access stratum layer of 5G protocol implementation. We were looking at the vulnerabilities in Samsung Exynos chip, which is used in Samsung Galaxy S and Pixel phones. The vulnerabilities, like I said, are in the NAS layer, that stands for non-access stratum.
Right.
This layer is responsible for communication between phone and the core network, which is implemented on carrier sides. And the vulnerabilities that we have found are mostly from the types of stack and buffer overflows. And their impact actually, if an attacker wants to exploit these vulnerabilities, can even become an RCE for a remote code execution.
Yeah, so RCE is bad. So how did you find these vulnerabilities? I mean, Samsung Pixel, like these are big platforms, lots of devices. So did you go looking for them, or did you have an inkling that there was something there that needed to be researched or analyzed, or how did you find them?
Yeah, obviously, like the baseband is a really huge and complex piece of hardware. But luckily, like we have the firmware available to us. Like the vendors can just open them up for download, so we can actually get the firmware binaries, but they're not like for testing or even any kind of analysis. They're just like closed piece of software, and that is not meant to be running on anything other than your phone. So what we did first, like we had to find a way to reverse engineering to see what the baseband actually the code looks like, and then we need to find some way to get it to run on our laptop. Like that's what they call the emulation. There are some previous works that are doing that kind of work on 4G and beyond phones, before phones. But with the introduction of 5G, obviously there's way more complexities, especially with the more protocol stays, more layers we have to support, and also one significant kind of more complex in this 5G baseband is the introduction of C++. So that gives you a lot of more really complex code structures that we had to go over. So I think Ali and we've been just working on reverse engineering them and find a way to handle all of those code. That's one of the huge part to have be able to kind of emulate and be able to get more insights into the code so that we can do further testing. Beyond that, obviously, how to do the testing itself is another challenge because the baseband there is handling a lot of the mobile protocols, and so the baseband has to be at the correct state for it to reveal some of the vulnerabilities. For example, you have to be able to kind of fake a connection to the base station for us to be able to send some valid test inputs so like the baseband can accept them. Because like right now we're running the baseband on emulated software, it's no longer running on your phone, so you couldn't really get a valid connection if you do not kind of fix that. So kind of how do we fix that kind of connection is another kind of heart of our research. And to do that, we had to do a lot of static analysis to find how different variable values will impact how the messages are being processed in this baseband. But just vanilla static analysis or symbolic execution will just run into a lot of complexity issues that we cannot get any meaningful results. So to resolve that, we designed some kind of an iterative way of applying some very simple static analysis, but layer by layer, so that we have more comprehensive results when we eventually get those. I think those are like two hearts of our research, emulation and static analysis.
All right, you guys should definitely get your PhDs. That's all I'm saying. So okay, were you surprised though by what you found with these the 5G volume? Because I in my mind I'm thinking, well, it's not 1G, it's not 2G, it's not 3G. We're at a point now where we've been working with this technology and developing it. It's getting more mature, but it seems like we're still having some of the same problems. Is that? So were you surprised?
Actually, you mentioned a really good point. This is 5G. It's nothing old. Sometimes in code stacks that are developed over decades ago, there might be a very old code that companies are afraid to touch to probably break something. But if we have a code that is developed recently, we expect them to be more careful and introduce fewer vulnerabilities. But we can still see that there are traditional buffer overflows introduced in 5G stacks.
So
kind of surprising.
So it was surprising. What was this response to the research in this case?
The response,
like from the vendors involved, the manufacturers, were they just like, oh my goodness, we had no idea, we'll fix it right away, or?
Yeah, I think they're pretty collaborative.
Yeah, oh, good.
Yeah, they're very open to our findings, and they actually acknowledge them, and they are very prompt in addressing them. I think all of this is kind of an interactive process where they expect inputs from the research community into like how, if we have any insights on potential vulnerabilities, because they're also open to this kind of suggestions and testing. So I would say it's pretty positive experience, disclosure and kind of interaction with them.
That's good. I mean, normally you hear, not normally, I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but sometimes when researchers find pivotal vulnerabilities that throw stuff into chaos, the response from manufacturers, vendors, software developers isn't always the best, but that's good to know that they're
I think one of the reasons is also we have very strong evidence. Like we can show that when we send some messages, the baseband just crashes and like the lost signal, or you have to go into debug mode.
Yeah.
So obviously there's something wrong. Like
there's something wrong.
Yeah. It's like we have some conversation about the root cause, whether it is like stack overflow or some simpler memory issues. But overall, because we have evidence, so they really couldn't say like their baseband is fine.
Right. So you probably want to fix it. Let's turn to Open RAN, Open RISC. So again, sort of, I don't want to say similar, but I'm sort of in the same ballpark, I guess.
Yeah, I would say like the baseband is more on testing whether your phone is secure. The RAN side is more, the RAN is like short for radio access network. Basically represents your typical cell towers and base stations. So there's like a huge network of these nodes that are serving the over-the-air signals to your phone. So we basically did testing on, first of all, whether your phone can stay robust when handling those signals. And second of all, if those radio access networks or the cell towers can stay robust when handling some unexpected inputs from the UE side. So both sides we're doing the testing.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's not great. Again, were you kind of surprised what you found there, or like was it? Was it unexpected? I guess
Yeah, like Open RAN is kind of a new concept in the 5G community. Like because previous generations of network, the cell towers are pretty much a closed piece of proprietary hardware that the vendors like Ericsson or Nokia, they provide to the operators, and the operators don't have much control on like what kind of software running on them, what kind of algorithm running on them. So like the Open RAN is kind of to address them. It allows the operators to run some third-party or their own customized software to optimize this run operations. So it's kind of opening up this previously closed architecture, and with that, I think it's definitely kind of expected to have a lot of the potential software bugs that you also see in other systems. And because it is relatively new, so I think I'm not really that surprised that it contains some bugs because it is a kind of a first iteration of a software system. But I'm also surprised at the kind of bugs we found. Right, we have find some bugs that actually can break the entire RAN node. Like one simple input from the UE, the whole RAN can just become unresponsive. So with the amount of impact it can have, is kind of surprising. Yeah.
Well, I would say your research is having an impact, and I wish you guys best of luck tomorrow with both sessions. Thanks so much for joining me at the news desk. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for having us. Thanks.
And I'm Rob Wright with Dark Reading. Thanks for watching this segment of the Dark Reading News Desk, and we'll see you next time.